What happens when engineers throw logic completely out the window and build the most bizarre, over-the-top machines ever conceived? Welcome back to Ultimate Machinery. Today, we are looking at the 10 dumbest and craziest trucks you have never seen. These heavy-duty rigs will leave you asking, what were they thinking? Now, I have a challenge for you. One of these machines does not even have wheels, and it was built to rescue falling astronauts. Can you guess which one? Stick around to find out. Hit that subscribe button and let us get into the heavy metal. Remember the height of the Cold War, back in the 1950s? The United States government was terrified that their railroad networks would be wiped out in a nuclear strike. So they decided to build a truck, but not just any truck. Enter the LeTourneau TC497 Overland train. This was not merely a vehicle, it was a rolling apocalypse survival base, stretching nearly 600 feet long with 54 massive wheels. It is the longest off-road vehicle ever built. Looking back, building a truck the size of a skyscraper to drive across the snow sounds completely dumb. It was an absolute logistical nightmare. The turning radius was hilariously wide, and it was so intensely heavy, it would sink into soft ground. The government poured the equivalent of over $100 million into this project, adjusting for inflation today. That is literally $1 million per foot of useless metal. It was a legendary financial mistake that taxpayers completely funded during that era. Well, but here is where the engineers were actually low-key geniuses. To make this monstrosity move, they used gas turbine engines to generate electricity. This powered independent electric motors, hidden inside every single one of those 54 wheels. This absolute dinosaur used electric wheel hub motors decades before modern electric cars existed. Ultimately, heavy-lift helicopters made this land train obsolete instantly. If you think a 600-foot truck is strange, wait until you see what the Soviets built for the mud. Here is the answer to our trivia question from the intro. Fascinating. If you thought American engineers were crazy, the Soviets took it to a whole new level of bizarre. Imagine you are a Russian cosmonaut in the 1970s. You just survived a re-entry. Your capsule crash lands in the middle of a freezing, impassable Siberian swamp, and you need a rescue. A regular truck would get stuck. A boat would not work. So, the Soviets built the ZIL-2906 and forgot wheels. Instead of tires or tank tracks, this incredibly weird machine moves using two massive corkscrew-shaped cylinders. It literally screws itself through the earth. Look at this. At first glance, it looks like a giant metal meat grinder. Driving it on solid pavement would completely destroy both the road and the machine itself. On hard dirt, it moves at a painfully slow crawl, making it look like a totally dumb and useless design. It seems like millions of rubles were completely wasted on a bad science project. However, the redemption curve on this Soviet beast is absolute perfection. Once it hits deep snow, thick mud, or terrifying swamplands, where any normal rescue truck would instantly sink and die, the ZIL becomes an unstoppable king. Those massive augers carve through the slush, propelling the vehicle forward and even allowing it to float on water. It is a terrifyingly specific machine for a specific job. While the Russians fought mud, American designers in Detroit tried to turn trucks into flying spaceships next. Let us travel back to the swinging 1960s. It was the era of the space race, the Jetsons, and a time when everyone thought we would be driving flying cars soon. General Motors wanted in on the futuristic action, so they unleashed the Chevrolet Turbo Titan III. Just look at this thing. Amazing. It looks less like a traditional semi-truck and more like a prop from a classic science fiction movie. It was the ultimate beautiful dream for the American interstates of tomorrow. The craziest part was not the sleek aerodynamic fiberglass body or the hidden headlights. It was what powered it. Instead of a reliable rumbling diesel engine, Chevy dropped a gas turbine engine under the hood. They literally put a jet engine inside a commercial hauling truck. Inside the cabin, They threw away the steering wheel completely. To drive the Turbo Titan, you had to use a twin-dial steering system. You were basically turning two glorified volume knobs to maneuver 80,000 pounds. Was it a dumb idea? Absolutely. The fuel consumption was an absolute nightmare, and the exhaust was so incredibly hot, it could melt the paint off the car idling behind it at a stoplight. Plus, traditional truckers did not want to fly a spaceship. They simply wanted to haul freight. It was a massive financial flop. But you have to respect the sheer optimism and the wild engineering vision. Speaking of jet engines, what if you used them just to go ridiculously fast? All right, old-school truck fans, brace yourselves. You loyal Peterbilt guys are going to absolutely lose your minds over this one. While the Kenworth and Mack fans in the comments might just shake their heads and laugh, this is the legendary Shockwave. Someone took a classic 1984 Peterbilt 359, looked at its legendary diesel engine, ripped it out entirely, and said, "You know what this classic rig really needs? 3 actual military fighter jet engines strapped to it." This is not a concept art piece, this is a living, breathing monster. Armed with 3 Pratt & Whitney J34 jet engines, the Shockwave produces a mind-bending 36,000 horsepower. It can hit speeds of 376 miles per hour. Let me repeat that clearly. 376 miles per hour in a brick-shaped Peterbilt. Unbelievable. It officially holds the world record for the absolute fastest jet-powered truck on the entire planet today. Is it practical? Not even slightly. It burns through 120 gallons of jet fuel in a single run and requires military-grade parachutes just to stop. The maintenance costs for those jets are astronomically higher than any standard diesel engine. It is the definition of a dumb, unnecessary flex. But when those afterburners light up shooting 20-foot flames, it is an absolute masterpiece of American entertainment. If you think that is bizarre, wait until a mad scientist redesigns everything entirely. If aliens came down to Earth and were asked to design a long-haul transport vehicle, they would probably build something exactly like the Luigi Colani Vision trucks. Designed by a radical Swiss-German designer, these trucks look like a massive rolling eyeball mixed with a high-speed bullet train. They are so weird that when they roll down the highway, people literally pull over in pure shock. It feels like a fever dream rolling right down the middle of Route 66. At first glance, it is incredibly easy to laugh. The driver sits inside a massive circular glass dome with a strange 3-pronged windshield wiper that spins in a continuous circle. It looks incredibly stupid and completely alien compared to the rugged, square-jawed trucks we are so used to seeing on the American interstates. Traditional drivers hated the look, and fleet owners thought it was a complete joke. That would cost them millions in unnecessary repairs if the giant glass ever broke. But here is the brilliant redemption of Colani and his mad vision. Those strange flowing lines reduce aerodynamic drag by an astonishing 30% compared to a standard blocky semi-truck. In the commercial trucking industry, where fuel costs dictate everything, a 30% saving is literally worth billions of dollars. Underneath that weird bug-eyed exterior was brilliant world-class fluid dynamics. It was simply too far ahead of its time. Now, from peak aerodynamics, let us swing to the exact opposite extreme. If you have ever been near the massive open-pit coal mines out in Wyoming, you might have seen a ghost. A mechanical lumbering beast that looks like a severe glitch in the Matrix. Meet the Kress coal hauler. When you first look at this machine, your brain cannot even process its bizarre proportions. It looks entirely backwards, broken, and just flat-out wrong. To a normal gearhead, this is the ugliest, dumbest-looking dump truck that has ever been manufactured in human history. The cab sits awkwardly off to one side. The wheels are mounted in bizarre locations at the very extreme ends of the chassis. And the belly of the truck sags down so incredibly low it looks like it is going to scrape the dirt. It looks like it was built out of spare parts in the dark by someone who had never seen a truck before. You would assume, This multi-million-dollar mistake would break in half the second it hit a bump. But do not let the ugly exterior fool you. Every single weird angle on the Kress hauler is an absolute masterclass in mining economics. The massive drooping belly is a bottom dump system. Instead of stopping and lifting a heavy bed, this truck drives right over a grate and drops up to 300 tons of coal instantly while moving. Those weirdly placed wheels allow tight turns. It is ugly, yes, but it prints money. Next, let us head deep into the tough forests. If the Kress hauler is all brain, the Pacific P16 is nothing but pure unadulterated muscle. If you grew up watching classic trucking movies, you know that trucks used to be built exceptionally tough, but nothing, and I mean absolutely nothing, is tougher than the P16. Born in Canada and built for the brutal, unforgiving logging roads of the Pacific Northwest. This truck is a rolling block of solid iron. It is the undisputed heavyweight champion of the deep, dark wilderness. It does not have sleek aerodynamics. It does not have jet engines. It looks like a giant steel box built by an angry blacksmith. It is incredibly wide, massively heavy, and powered by a screaming Detroit diesel engine that sounds like the end of the world. By modern highway standards, it is completely dumb. It is painfully slow on the pavement, terribly uncomfortable for the driver, and turns like a massive naval battleship. It was never meant to look pretty or go particularly fast. But out there, in the muddy, steep, dangerous logging trails, the P16 is an absolute god. It was designed to haul hundreds of thousands of pounds of raw timber down mountainsides, where a single mistake literally means death. It features a solid steel frame that practically never bends or breaks under pressure. Decades after they stopped making them, these unkillable beasts are still out in the woods working every single day. However, what happens when you turn blue-collar work into a racing supercar? Volvo is famous globally for making safe, reliable, and incredibly practical trucks. So naturally, someone at Volvo woke up one morning and decided to completely ruin that sensible reputation by building a commercial semi-truck meant to outrun European sports cars. They called it the Iron Knight, and it is a completely ridiculous, wonderful contradiction. It takes everything we know about heavy hauling and throws it straight into the garbage can. It is a pure adrenaline rush, wrapped in a heavy-duty commercial shell. They took a standard commercial truck frame, stripped away thousands of pounds of heavy metal to reduce weight, and mid-mounted a monstrous 13-liter D13 engine. Oh, and then they strapped 4 huge turbochargers to it. The result is absolutely terrifying. It produces 2,400 horsepower and 4,225 pound-feet of torque. It uses Volvo's dual-clutch I-shift transmission, making this gigantic machine shift its heavy gears faster than a brand-new Porsche. Amazing. Why is it dumb? Because in the real world, nobody needs a commercial semi-truck to go from 0 to 60 in under 4 seconds. It completely defeats the original purpose of a freight hauling vehicle. But as an engineering flex, it is simply magnificent. It shattered international speed records, proving that even a brick-shaped hauler can become a track weapon if you throw enough money at it. If the Iron Knight is about speed, our next truck is about never, ever stopping. Let us dial it back to the absolute grit of World War II. The British military desperately needed an artillery tractor and recovery vehicle that could cross the absolute worst, most bombed-out terrain in all of Europe. They created the Scammell Pioneer. If you look at this thing driving over uneven ground, you will instantly think the axles are completely broken. It has a weird, lopsided stance that makes it look like it is limping heavily across the battlefield, like an injured animal. The suspension on the Pioneer has such an extreme range of articulation that the wheels look like they are twisting and folding underneath the chassis. It looks incredibly flimsy and goofy, wobbling its way over deep trenches. Powered by a Gardner diesel engine, it had a top speed of maybe 20 miles per hour on a really good day. It was painfully, agonizingly slow. Soldiers often joke that they could walk faster than this truck could drive, making it seem like a completely useless battlefield target. However, that goofy, wobbly suspension was a stroke of absolute mechanical genius. Because the axles could twist so radically, all of the wheels kept constant, perfect contact with the ground. No matter how deep the crater or how steep the rocks were, it did not need speed. It needed to be fully unstoppable. The Scammell Pioneer recovered thousands of stuck tanks and heavy guns during the war. It proved that slow and steady wins. Finally, get ready for a vehicle built purely for ego. We have finally reached the peak of the mountain, folks. If the Pacific P16 is the ultimate symbol of rugged practicality, this next vehicle is the exact opposite. Built specifically for a billionaire in the United Arab Emirates, please meet the Dhabiyan. It is officially classified as the largest SUV in the world. But let us be real here. This is a 10-wheeled, 24-ton, 35-foot-long desert leviathan that dwarfs absolutely everything else on the open sandy road. It was created by combining an Oshkosh M1074 military transport truck, a Jeep Wrangler, a Dodge Dart, and a Ford Super Duty. It literally looks like a terrible glitch in a video game where 4 different cars spawned on top of each other. It is absurdly massive, incredibly difficult to drive, and burns a catastrophic amount of expensive fuel just to move out of the driveway. It is the craziest custom build you will ever see in your lifetime. There is absolutely zero redemption curve for this one, guys. It is not saving freezing cosmonauts, it is not hauling heavy coal, and certainly, it is not winning any track races. It is simply a towering monument to having vastly more money than common sense. And that brings me to a question for you all. Would you rather take the tough Pacific P16 into the woods or drive the insane Dhabiyan? Drop your vote in the comments below right now. Type your choice. From the mud-crawling Soviet screws to a 36,000 horsepower jet-powered Peterbilt, human engineering has proven one thing perfectly. Just because an idea sounds completely crazy does not mean someone will not actually build it. These machines might be bizarre, inefficient, or totally dumb, but they are a testament to our wild mechanical imagination. If your mind was blown by these extreme tractors, alright, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and cast your vote. See you on the next one.